Engage. Outta the park.
The NSR Media Network presents Out of the Park with Barry Davis, highlighting the human side of sports. OTP is brought to you by Adam Goodman, Fitness Kickboxing Canada, and the Jaywalk. Subscribe and download to Out of the Park on iTunes, Google Play Music, SoundCloud, and the Stitcher app. To interact with Barry on Twitter, follow him at BarryDavis_. Submit questions using the Ask Barry Davis hashtag or the question form at nsrmedia.ca. Become a member for exclusive content on Patreon by searching Out of the Park. And now, live from Buffalo, New York's Coca-Cola Field, it's Out of the Park episode 56 with your host, the indefatigable Barry Davis.
It seemed like a very good idea at the time, Matt.
Yes,
Let's
it did.
pack up the car, let's head to Buffalo and watch some springtime, beautiful weather Bison's baseball here in Buffalo. It is not quite what we expected here.
And nothing says baseball like, what, 2-degree weather and snow?
Yeah.
Look at all that beautiful breath.
Despite the fact that it is freezing cold here in Buffalo, we are going to have a great show for you. We are going to ask Barry Davis. We are going to do our fair or foul poll, our first pitch, and the guests. Oh yes, the guests. We are going to be joined by Joe Biagini. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And Anthony Alfred. So we've got a lot coming up here from Coca-Cola Field in Buffalo. He's Matt, I'm Barry. You're listening to Out of the Park.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, the first pitch with Barry Davis.
And the first pitch is brought to you by our good friends at the Jaywalk. You know, Matt, as cold as it is here today at Coca-Cola Field in Buffalo, I am still sporting a Jaywalk shirt underneath a bunch of other layers of clothing.
And I am, in fact, wearing my Out of the Park t-shirt, but it's also under
You're not
a
gonna
Kevlar
expose-
vest of
Yes.
warmth.
Coming up later in the show when we're joined by Anthony Alfred, you will hear a great tip to stay warm on cold days like this. In fact, we're going to take Anthony up on this advice, and Matt, in fact, is going to do it.
And you're not going to want to see the results. It's brutal.
You're going to have to listen to the show later on and hear our chat with Anthony Alfred. The Jaywalk, by the way, gave us a Out of the Park shirt to give to someone, and it never really got to them, so basically we're re-giving it. Meaning, Joe Biagini, whom we're going to talk to later on in the show, is going to receive another Jaywalk shirt, an Out of the Park shirt.
We need to ask him where the first one went. There's got to be a story there.
There has to be a story
Yeah.
behind it.
Come
I
on.
don't know what happened to the shirt, but it does not exist anymore. Okay, so the first pitch is coming up now. You and I actually recorded our first pitch earlier when we
did.
arrived at the ballpark, and then news broke. And what happens in the world of sports is when news breaks, you must
Dump and go.
You have to react to it.
Yes.
Here's the news that we just received moments ago. Now, by the time you're listening to it or watching it, it could be old news. But Devon Travis just sent down here to AAA Buffalo. We won't see him on Sunday, unfortunately, because he's going to make the trip, and it's a day game and all. But this really caught me by surprise. I thought that if there was a time to send Devon Travis down, maybe it would have been in the heat of him struggling. With him starting to turn it around and the experience he has and the potential he has, I was actually surprised that the decision was made to send him here to Buffalo.
Yeah, the timing is curious to me in that you've seen now over the last couple of games, he's been barreling up balls, and the defense has never been an issue. He's always been able to move, but why now? Why would they have been looking at this situation now when over the last 3 games, he's been really starting to turn a corner?
I think one of the main reasons is the play of Lourdes Gurriel. I think that they're seeing what Gurriel is doing on the field, what he's doing at the plate, and they want to ride him. They want to give him a chance to go out and show what he can do. This, I don't know how, and I know Devon very well. I know what goes on inside of his head for the most part. I know he's going to take this in a positive way. He's not going to get down on himself. He's going to come here. He's going to bust his butt and try to get himself back to what we all know he's capable of doing. But again, this is one of those situations where if they had called up Gurriel and he wasn't able to perform well, Devon Travis would still be in the majors. I thought what we saw from Devon Travis Thursday night with the triple and the home run was a sign that he is starting to turn the corner. Obviously, the big brains in the Blue Jays organization thought differently, and they think that coming here to Buffalo is what's best for him.
But what you're seeing right now is a very good problem. because you're seeing that they're bringing up their prospects, their AAA prospects, and these guys are coming up and they're performing in ways that maybe wasn't expected. Look at the play of Teoscar Hernandez. Now look at the play of Lourdes Gurriel. The point being is that Grychek is not as much of a problem because you have Teoscar Hernandez playing the snot out of baseball right now.
Well, Grychek is not part of the problem as far as a guy that you would send down because he's making a boatload of money and he has no options. So while if you were to look and say, on paper, if you look at the best team the Blue Jays can put out, who would it make more sense to send down? And you would say Grychek, sure. But because of the business part of sports, because of options, it's not an option. So he stays, Devon Travis comes down. I would suspect this will not be a very long stint for Devon Travis in AAA Buffalo. And this brings us to another player. And you mentioned it to me on the drive up here, and that is Marcus Stroman.
Yep.
The Blue Jays got off to a very good start, despite the fact that the rotation hasn't been what we know it can be and what I'm sure it will be at some point. But among the 5 starters, the one guy who's had the most difficult time has been Marcus Stroman.
And the question being is, if there was a reason to send him down to AAA, would that benefit him, or would it benefit him staying up, getting his regular rotational starts, and be pitching to major league batters?
As far as Marcus Stroman goes, and the thought of maybe would it make sense to send him down, I think if you were to ask me that question 2 years ago, I would say yes, 100%.
Yeah.
This is the thing to do. I think where Marcus Stroman is at now, what Marcus Stroman has accomplished so far as a pitcher, I think that would be doing him a disservice to say, Marcus, you know what, you're struggling, you're going down to AAA. I think that would not be a good thing for Marcus. I do not think that would be a kick in the butt to get him going. I think that could potentially put him in even more trouble. I think the best thing the Blue Jays have to do is keep putting him out there every 5 days, hope that he figures it out, hope he makes some adjustments. The question is, and this is something that we don't know the answer to, maybe only Marcus does, and that is, are the struggles he's having so far this year a physical thing or a mental thing?
Look, if there's anybody that can fix this, it's going to be Marcus Stroman.
Yes.
This guy's come back from blowing his knee out and came back months early and defied doctors' prognostications. If there's anybody that can put the pieces together, I'm sure it's just something as simple as something mechanical, some sort of release point issue, whatever. Marcus Stroman will be able to figure it out for sure.
And that is, as we said, the one thing about Marcus Stroman, he seems to get the most out of himself when people are counting him out. People are starting to count him out a little bit now after this slow start. I would expect that over the next few starts, we're going to see a lot more of the real Marcus Stroman.
Yeah, just probably needs time to put it together. It's fine.
All right, Matt, coming up, we're going to learn some tips on how to stay warm in very cold weather.
Bonkers.
And we're going to hear about what it means to be a very good son and do whatever it takes to make your mother happy. Oh, you're going to want to hear him. He's Matt, I'm Barry. You're listening to Out of the Park.